What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react to 10 Monty Python sketches that could not be made today. Oh boy, so today I want to take a look at some controversial Monty Python moments that I have never seen before. I know that Monty Python is this legendary British work of comedy, so I would imagine that they probably were known for pushing the envelope on what was allowed or what was expected. That's kind of what comedy is all about, right? So today, I want to take a look at this video from Watch Mojo UK. This is the top 10 Monty Python sketches that made people really mad, it says. So, let's take a look.
Number 10. Summarize Proust Competition, Monty Python's Flying Circus. The theme of one episode in Flying Circus was a wacky competition with contestants having to summarize Proust. If they...
Proust? What is Proust? Am I the only one here that doesn't even know what we're saying? Is this a British thing, or is this just a Tyler doesn't understand thing? Proust? Hold on. Before, I feel like it's important for the sketch, for the joke, that I understand this word. Proust? Was it a French novelist? Proust. Summarize Proust? All right. I'm not sure what we're talking about.
They can't shorten à la recherche du temps perdu by Proust to being 15 seconds long, they lose.
The reinstallment of extra-temporal values of time regained. Ultimately, the novel is both optimistic and set within the context of a humane religious experience, restating as it does the concept of intemporality. In the first volume, Swan, the family friend... Well, child!
For those unaware, it holds the Guinness World Record for being the longest novel. In the end, the prize goes to an attractive woman.
So, I'm going to award the first prize this evening to the girl with the biggest tits.
The people at...
Okay. All right, hold on. This is controversial not for the reasons that maybe it's supposed to be. I don't know. The joke about it goes to the woman with the biggest boobs. That's more controversial to me than summarizing Proust. Or is that what we're talking? I'm not even quite sure what the controversial part of this is, to be completely honest.
Mainly upset were British conservatives, who believed it was mocking traditional British prudishness.
So they were actually upset that they were making fun of this French novelist? Or, still unclear to me.
Beside this, they were poking fun at intellectualism and literature, which also upset some people.
They were poking fun at some British tradition or culture or intellectualism or novels. The fact that they were poking fun at that stuff, that's what's controversial here? I thought it was the tits joke between you and me. I thought that was the controversial part.
Number 9.
I guess you have to remember, was this back in 1972? I have to get my mindset like 50 years ago, I guess, in order to really, I don't understand why summarizing the works of a French novelist would be controversial. I don't understand that.
9. The Four Yorkshiremen. At last, the 1948 show. A pretty common occurrence when growing up British is for older people to tell you how much better you've got it. While it's hilariously relatable, it's also seen as making fun of the working class.
This is something that's relatable, I think, for every generation. And this is also even this is a British comedy thing, but I can relate totally as an American. Like, this is also a joke here that every generation before you will complain that you have it better, I think is what they're saying.
It's hilariously relatable. It's also seen as making fun of the working class.
We never had a cup. We used to drink out of a rolled-up newspaper. The best we could manage was to suck on a piece of damp cloth.
An argument can be made that it trivialises extreme poverty, turning it into an absurd competition. Usually, the Pythons are critical of the upper class, but this sketch seems to punch down.
I was happy.
What? I think people are reading into this way too deeply. I don't think this is controversial at all. And I actually think this one defies the topic, the title of today. I think you could make this joke today. Actually, so far, we have a lot more to go, but these aren't as crazy, controversial, taboo jokes as I thought. Not yet, anyway.
Yeah, then I had nothing.
On the other hand, you could interpret it as portraying wealthy individuals playing up their hardships, an opposite stereotype. It's also been incredibly overused.
I think it's making fun of people who complain about how bad they had it. Or a stereotype of that. People doing that generation to generation. Either way, it's just not that controversial.
Making it feel like it's lost its original satirical meaning.
Then we'd come home and Dad would beat us about the head and neck with a broken bottle.
Number 8. What have the Romans ever done for us? Monty Python's Life of Brian. This scene is one of many iconic moments from a particularly contentious film. It's an incredibly layered scene, with multiple ways you can read into it. For instance, it's pretty easy to say it's supporting colonialism, echoing real-life justifications for things like British rule in India.
And what have they ever given us in return? The aqueduct?
On the other hand, you could argue it's criticising imperialism. The Pythons are saying things like improved infrastructure are used to justify colonialism.
And the road.
Well, isn't that just a catch-22 then? Like, you can interpret these jokes either way, whether you think they're being genuine or making fun of it, right? So...
Well, yeah, obviously the roads. I mean, the roads go without saying, don't they?
Additionally, it's heavily satirising revolutionary movements, which a lot of left-wing groups were offended by. Historians may also see it as downplaying the brutality of Roman occupation. Overall, it's far from the most controversial scene.
Oh my god. I've never seen The Life of Brian. I think that's like a Monty Python movie. But they're just talking about it's a bit on what have the Romans ever done for us, even though they built roads and aqueducts and so this is man, if people actually got mad at this, geez, that's their problem. It's not the jokes, it's not the comedian's fault.
In that film.
All right, but apart from the sanitation, the medicine, education, wine, public order, irrigation, roads, a fresh water system and public health, what have the Romans ever done for us?
What, you're not allowed to point out things that the Romans literally did?
Peace? Oh, peace.
Number 7.
Peace.
Every sperm is sacred. Monty Python's The Meaning of Life. This sketch was set in the third world county of Yorkshire, which primarily offended the Catholic Church. It's a satire of how the church views contraception, so it's easy to see how it upset them. It's also making fun of excessively long musical numbers, but that part was hardly contentious.
Yeah.
Every sperm is sacred.
I think this is funny. And that here in the United States, pro-life, pro-choice, abortion, life debate, that's all such a huge debate here in the United States, and I still think this is hilarious. No matter what your opinion on it is, it's just funny.
Every sperm is great.
Despite the...
I suppose if you really genuinely think that, every sperm is literally sacred. Even though like all 500 million of them per, I guess that's how this could somehow be offensive to you if this is your genuine belief.
Adult humour. When the child actors grew up, they all admitted they had zero ideas what they were singing about.
That's the most controversial part, is getting the children to unwittingly sing about sperm.
Since its release, it's become an idiom in certain scientific fields, particularly cloning. Supporters of abortion rights have also proudly sung the song, using it to critique the other side.
Right. So this is used unironically now as a pro-sperm song, even though I'm pretty sure this was a parody when its original intent is a parody.
Number 6. Brian's use of slurs. Monty Python's Life of Brian. None of the Pythons were themselves Jewish, but also never had a history of anti-Semitism. Their humour is often aimed at mocking organised religion, rather than targeting specific ethnic groups.
Well, that's already gonna be controversial, making jokes about any religion. And I'm not sure you'd really... I bet a lot of comedians would choose not to do that today. So this is a good qualifier for, like, controversial Monty Python sketches, if it's making fun of religions.
He was a Roman, Brian. He was a centurion in the Roman army.
Still, by today's standards...
Why does he talk like that? Why, he was a centurion in the Roman army. Why is he talking like that?
Throwing out ethnic slurs for comedic value is largely frowned upon. On the one hand, he isn't using them to insult someone else.
I'm not a Roman, Mum.
Despite this, an argument could...
I guess they can't even play the slur. So they were saying slurs. I don't know what the slurs are, because they can't even play them in this video about the slurs. So that right there kind of shows you how controversial it is.
Could be made that it's endorsing the language, which could easily shock or offend Jewish viewers. Additionally, humour this edgy was more accepted in 1979, explaining why it was overlooked at release.
Okay, now I'm starting to understand. This could be one of the most... You could not do this today. You could not do this today. I think I understand now.
At first, yes. Who was it? Naughtius Maximus his name was.
Number 5. The Lumberjack Song, Monty Python's Flying Circus. One of their most famous songs begins praising a traditionally masculine profession. Halfway through, it takes a sudden turn, with the lyrics getting increasingly feminine. The joke is the surprise, with the punchline being gender non-conformity.
I put on women's clothing and hang around in bars.
This element is...
I mean, I don't... I would actually think a lot of people today would like this, actually. It's kind of this gender non-conforming, unexpected, gender fluid thing where they're very masculine men. Then at the end of the song, it sounds like they're very feminine men talking about wearing women's clothing. I think a lot of people would actually get a big enjoyment out of this today, even. I guess the controversy is, what exactly are they making fun of here?
Itself isn't offensive, but it's the negative reactions of the surrounding cast that are.
That's what it is. Okay, that's what it is. It's how the surrounding people are disapproving of what's going on. I see, yes.
Makes cross-dressing appear socially unacceptable.
I cut down trees, I wear high heels, suspenders and a bra.
At the time, issues like this were barely discussed, meaning it initially felt like harmless fun. The humour came more from the situation's absurdity rather than the cross-dressing itself.
Right. That's true. And I find myself laughing at, like, the very face value absurdity of a lot of this stuff. I guess I don't tend to get offended and look too deeply into these things. Probably because a lot of these topics don't really affect me. If they affected me, maybe I would care more and be offended and have a stronger disapproval or something. So yeah, you have to keep that in mind.
If it was made nowadays, it would be a lot more contentious.
Oh, feathers! And I thought
Number 4.
Yeah, the disapproval of it, of the men acting feminine, or if it's implying that those men are gay or whatever it is, the disapproval of that's probably crossing lines today for sure.
Our Amen, Monty Python's Flying Circus. At some point in time, every single Python has appeared in blackface. One such instance was in the sketch Our Amen, where Chapman appears dressed as a highly offensive African warrior.
Mummy!
All right, we finally found it. It took all the way to number 4. This is absolutely not okay. This would never be okay. I'm surprised they're even showing this, actually. This would be completely controversial now for good reason. This is not I am still shocked that they did stuff like this once upon a time, but people thought different things.
While some would argue their use of blackface wasn't to demonize black people, it's still extremely offensive.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if they're demonizing black people while dressed as a black person. Oh my God, this would never be lived down. It already isn't, but no, you can't do this. No.
Their humor was absurdity, not racial mockery.
Hello, Eamon.
Hello, Marv.
How was Dublin?
So you could say it was less egregious than their contemporaries, but nowadays it's considered extremely insensitive.
Yeah.
These sketches could have been done without the makeup, or they could have even hired black actors. As such, a lot of people will
Right.
feel uncomfortable watching this sketch.
Yes, well, how was Dublin, Eamon? Well, as I was telling Mummy...
Number 3.
Oh my God. That to me is number 1. What's going to top that? What is going to top that one as far as like taboo controversy?
The Undertaker sketch, Monty Python's Flying Circus. By today's standards, this sketch is pretty mild, with the BBC having aired much darker jokes since. The sketch revolves around John Cleese bringing his dead mother to an undertaker, who gives him some pretty nasty suggestions for what to do with her.
What?
Well, there are 3 things we can do with your mother. We can burn her, bury her, or dump her.
The one that upset the BBC was eating the deceased, which Cleese initially protests but changes his mind by the end.
He changes his mind. No, I don't get it. I don't understand why this is controversial. It's obviously absurd that you would want to eat your dead mother. It's absurd. I don't even know who is this offending. It's just like kind of gross and it's just outrageous. It's fine.
I think we've got an eater.
And eat.
Almost refused to broadcast it, insisting the audience had to boo and get mad, which didn't happen as they liked. After the first showing,
They didn't like that when they were filming this. The audience was laughing.
removed the sketch and didn't show it on TV again until 1987.
If
Wow.
you feel a bit guilty about it afterwards, we can dig a grave and you can throw up in it.
Number 2, the crucifixion scene, Monty Python's Life of Brian. Easily
There's a scene in this movie where somebody gets crucified?
their most contentious movie's most outrageous scene was the final crucifixion. To many,
Oh, wow. So they're actually showing people getting crucified. Being crucified, the crucifixion is now a big part of Christianity and a big symbol of it. But back in the day, wasn't it just a normal execution method? For one thing. But they know when they made this was a symbolism of Jesus and Christianity. There are religious movies like Passion of the Christ where they literally show Jesus getting nailed to a cross. So it can be showed on... it's just that they're making it into a joke. That's what's controversial here. Personally, I'm not, I don't care that much, but I could easily see how a lot of religious people would really, really not like this. I actually understand.
it's a staple of British comedy. being a hilarious closer to an amazing film.
I'll never forget a face. No!
To thousands of Christians, it was borderline blasphemous. They felt like it was belittling the sacrifice their prophet made, turning his death into what they called a jolly boy's outing.
Yeah, I understand. I understand why people didn't like this.
See, not so bad once you're up.
Director Jones's response was, any religion that makes a form of torture into an icon that they worship seems to me a pretty sick sort of religion, quite honestly. No matter your stance, most can agree the accompanying song is a timeless classic.
Oh my God.
Look on the bright side of death.
They get put up on crosses and sing a song? Oh my God. I've never seen that movie. Maybe I have to check it out.
1. Loretta, the Trans Revolutionary. Monty Python's Life of Brian. One of the most infamous scenes in Life of Brian is Loretta coming out to her peers.
I want to be a woman. From now on, I want you all to call me Loretta.
It's frequently discussed in the context of trans representation, with no one consensus on whether it's harmful or not.
Okay, they didn't even know when they made this how relevant this would be. Certainly in American culture, there's a big discussions around trans and trans identity and stuff like that. I didn't know Monty Python did a sketch about this.
It turns Loretta's desire to have babies into a joke, with Cleese getting increasingly irate. Cleese's argument mirrors modern anti-trans beliefs, like focusing on biology.
Babies!
Don't you oppress me.
I'm not oppressing you, Stan. You haven't got a womb. Where's the fetus gonna gestate? You're gonna keep it in a box?
Some
Oh God, I'm not gonna get too much into this, but there's a lot of people who would absolutely hate this. I understand why, and there's probably a lot of people who absolutely love this on the other side of the argument.
argue Cleese's character is the one to be laughed at, not Loretta. The other revolutionaries support her transition, eventually using her preferred pronouns. Regardless of how you view it, many believe the fact that you can see it as anti-trans is harmful.
This would never be made today. I mean, unless you were like a comedy group that was trying to make a joke about this subject, but this is such a hot topic of debate and discussion. I understand why this is the #1 most controversial sketch.
It is symbolic of our struggle against oppression.
Symbolic of his struggle against reality.
Which Monty Python moment did you find the most outrageous? Let us know in the comments section.
Oh my God. We were treading on thin ice by the end there. This actually did not disappoint at all. I was a little underwhelmed at first, but there are some seriously controversial Monty Python sketches. I had no idea. There are definitely many of these would never be made today, but they were made when they were made, and they were meant to push the envelope and be controversial, and that's what comedy is about. So they're just a product of that time. And given all that, I quite enjoyed this. That was very interesting, and I actually thought a lot of these were pretty funny too. So maybe that makes me controversial. I don't know. But anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts on any of these Monty Python sketches that made people very mad. That'd be fun to hear about. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to the UK and stuff from the UK I've never seen before, UK culture, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.